What's going on, everybody? Happy New Year. Hope everyone had a great New Year's. 2025 is going to be a great year. I can just feel the positive vibes in the air. But I just wanted to come on here real quick, talk about the 49ers' performance on Monday Night Football against the Detroit Lions, who were tied for the best record in the NFC with their division rival, the Minnesota Vikings, who they will face on Sunday Night Football for the number one seed in the NFC, plus the first round bye. And they've had, as far as I'm concerned, they've been the best team in the NFC this season, and they've had their best regular season in franchise history. But despite all that, they came into Santa Clara on Monday night wanting revenge on the team that came back from being down 24-7 at halftime to beating them in the NFC Championship game last year to clinch their ticket to Vegas in Super Bowl 58 just less than a calendar year ago. So they came out, despite all the success they've had this year, they came out wanting revenge. They came out on fire, but the Niners played their absolute A game in this game. Brock Purdy has had his best game in a while. He has not been the A-plus quarterback that he was last year, but he proved why he is still this team's franchise quarterback going forward. He threw for 3 touchdowns, ran for a touchdown. I would prefer to pay him in that 45 to 50 range million rather than 60 million, but he will reset the quarterback market, I think, and he will get the highest increase probably in history, going to barely making $1 million to being one of the higher paid quarterbacks in the NFL. Ricky Pearsall, man, it was so nice to see him shine out there. The tragedy that happened to him right before the season started went beyond football, shocked his teammates, shocked the faithful. For those of you that don't know, he got shot in an attempted robbery in downtown San Francisco at Union Square for his Rolex watch. And when I think it was the third game he played this year, the game in Tampa Bay when he scored his first NFL touchdown, I was like, man, Ricky Pearsall is going to be the comeback player of the league. You're going to make a 30 for 30 about him someday. But since then, he has not done anything, if anything. He's barely done anything at all since then. But he finally had a good game this year. He 8 receptions, 141 yards. It was great to see Brock Purdy and Ricky Pearsall make some chemistry, and hopefully that's what we'll be seeing a lot of in 2025, because Ricky Pearsall, with a completely normal offseason, more reps in training camp, all that, being ready, being healthy for week 1, with that personal tragedy being a full year away from him, I have a feeling Ricky Pearsall's going to surprise a lot of people next season. George Kittle also had 8 receptions for 112 yards, and George Kittle, for the 4th time in his career, scores 1,000 yards or more, 1,000 receiving yards or more in a season. And this is his 2nd year that he's done it in consecutive years. Doing it last season, followed by this season, just like he did in 2018, followed by 2019. George Kittle is my absolute favorite 49er in franchise history. My favorite current 49er. And he is the best tight end in franchise history. And the Niners have had some great tight ends with Vernon Davis and Brent Jones. But George Kittle, man, he's had a Hall of Fame career, and man, he'll go down in history as a hell of a 49er. But this was a good performance by the Niners against a team like the Lions. Defensively, Nick Bosa had a couple sacks, but they still gave up 40 points to the Lions. So for those of you that blame Brock Purdy for throwing the 2 interceptions in the second half, I've seen Brock Purdy go 8 games from the end of 2022 to the first 5 weeks in the 2023 season. So I know Brock Purdy is capable of being a quarterback that doesn't turn the ball over, but the great quarterbacks, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Steve Young, Johnny Unitas, Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, they all throw interceptions. Every great quarterback throws interceptions. Hall of Fame quarterbacks do. I'm not saying Brock Purdy is going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. We still don't know what he is, but he is the best possible option on this team right now at QB. But how can you blame him when the defense gives up 40 points? Of course, Jake Moody misses 3 field goals and an extra point. Rough performance by Jake Moody. He sustained the high ankle sprain, making a tackle in that Cardinals game earlier this year. Since he's been back, he has not been the same. He's probably not fully healthy, but despite all that, life isn't fair sometimes, and he probably will be cut, rightfully so, in the offseason because he has just been absolutely awful lately. So, as impressed I was with his 49er performance, and as a fan, that's pretty much, you almost get the best of both worlds because you get to see your team ball out against a Super Bowl contending team this season and still end up with a higher draft pick. So as a fan, that's pretty much a win-win. But I do have a bone to pick with Kyle Shanahan. Now, let me just state that I am glad that Jed York said that Kyle Shanahan and Jed York are not going anywhere and they're going to be in charge moving forward, because we just passed a 10-year anniversary of when Jim Harbaugh was fired after an 8-8 season, no losing seasons, 3 straight NFC Championship games, a Super Bowl appearance. He gets fired because he can't get along with Jed York and Trent Baalke, blah, 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 whatever. They ended up having a whole bunch of losing seasons after until they're able to land Kyle Shanahan. So let me just state that I am in no way, shape, or form advocating for Kyle Shanahan to lose his job. But that being said, he made a boneheaded decision handling Brock Purdy in this game. Now, going into the game, I personally, despite it not being realistic and despite it, maybe being even frowned upon by Roger Goodell and the NFL as a whole, I did not want Brock Purdy to start the game at all. I wanted him to rest these next 2 games, be ready to start 2025 fully healthy. That's what I wanted to see. But if you were, and when it was announced that Brock Purdy was going to start, I was like, okay, well, we'll probably just see him in 1 quarter. Okay, we end up seeing him in the 2nd quarter too. Okay, we'll probably just see him for the first half. It would have been the perfect time to have him sit at halftime. It would have been the perfect time to go to Josh Dobbs for the 2nd half. Brock Purdy had the rushing touchdown, and then he put together a constructive drive. But then that's when Jake Moody missed a 51-yard field goal. That would have been the perfect time to have him come out. The only thing that I can possibly even think of is that Kyle Shanahan didn't want to, have Purdy lose any confidence or whatnot. So what ends up happening is, of course, after he throws his 2nd interception and John Lynch, the cameras show him in shock after that, he gets sacked with about a couple minutes left, and he sustains an elbow injury. And that's when Josh Dobbs finally comes in. Completely fucking stupid on the part of Kyle Shanahan. Now, thankfully, we don't know much about the injury yet. All signs point to it not being a catastrophic injury, not being anything that keeps him that has him questionable week 1 of 2025 or anything. But that being said, at least if you're not gonna sit him out at halftime, if you're not gonna sit him out after the 3rd quarter, at least have him come out of the game after he throws his 2nd interception when you're down by 12 and you're in a meaningless game and you don't even have a chance to win the game. So what are you doing? And last season, when the Niners played the Ravens on Christmas. Brock Purdy threw 4 interceptions. And Kyle Shanahan took him out of the game with less than 10 minutes left, and Sam Darnold started the rest of the game. Why the fuck would you not use that same logic in this game? Not one person could have possibly thought, oh, Kyle has lost faith in Brock Purdy. He's going to go with Sam Darnold for this playoff run this year. No one possibly thought that. So, Kyle Shanahan, at least use your same logic and don't risk your number one asset that you're looking to sign to a $45 to $60 million extension. Just completely fucking stupid on the part of Kyle Shanahan. I just, wow. Unbelievable. But hey, Kyle Shanahan, I'm glad he's not going anywhere. He's been one of the best head coaches in franchise history, but no one is immune from criticism and he hasn't won a Super Bowl yet. And Steve Kerr for the Warriors gets criticized left and right, and he's won 4 NBA championships. So no one is free from criticism. Now, Kyle Shanahan and the Niners next season, what I'm expecting to happen, and I'm not even just saying that from a fan perspective, I'm taking off my glasses and I'm honestly predicting that I think that the 49ers would an absolutely clean offseason with not much drama, if any, hopefully none at all. They go into 2025 on a clean slate with a healthy Brock Purdy, with a healthy George Kittle, with a healthy Christian McCaffrey, with a healthy Nick Bosa, with a healthy Fred Warner, with a healthy Dre Greenlaw, with Juwan Jennings still balling out. I think the Niners will win the NFC West and will be Super Bowl contenders next year, and we will go back to the Super Bowl or bust mentality. But if somehow that does not happen, and we have a similar season to this season, don't miss the playoffs, then that's going to be when the whole fire Kyle Shanahan talk is going to go from being absolutely fucking stupid to something that you can at least put into the air and ask the question whether that should be the move to go at that point. But anyway, Happy New Year, everyone. Peace.